have, so we want to make sure that everybody gets enough time to share their content today. My name is Melissa Gale. I'm the manager of NICU Family Support, and we're thrilled that so many people across the foundation are joining us today to talk about engaging families through NICU Family Support contact cards and share your story. So we have a huge group today, so just want to let you all know that your lines are muted. If you do have a question for any of our speakers today, go ahead and type it into the question section of your dashboard, and we will get to the questions at the end of the Learning Lab today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Liza Cooper. Liza is the Director of Family-Centered Care and Family Engagement, and she oversees Share Your Story and a number of other initiatives. So Liza, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Melissa, and thank you everyone for being here today. Welcome to the webinar on family engagement. Mission families are some of the most invested and passionate and dedicated volunteers and donors, so engaging them with March of Dimes is absolutely essential. It's why family engagement is a mission priority of the Foundation. And if I asked each person on this call today how you would define family engagement, we'd probably hear a lot of different definitions, probably all really good ones, but they would be pretty varied. But for the purpose of today's call, I'd like us to think about family engagement as the steps that we take to actively engage mission families with the March of Dimes. That means that we provide continued resources and information and support to families after their crisis, and opportunities for mission families to get involved, to volunteer, to help other families, and to give their time, donations, community participation, and their leadership. And it's our role to make that experience supportive, informative, meaningful, and fun, and to make sure mission families feel appreciated throughout their involvement, and more than that, for it to be fulfilling and meaningful because of their connection to the March of Dimes mission. I think about it as engaging families in a conversation with the March of Dimes, a dialogue with the staff, with the volunteers, and with the entire March of Dimes community of mission families, and to have that conversation be meaningful, fulfilling, and interesting to all of us. NICU family support is hugely important to family engagement, and NICU family support specialists are key family engagers. But NICU family support should be thought of as the important first step in family engagement. For many of us on this call and throughout the Foundation, supporting families who've experienced a birth crisis is what drives us in our work. We believe in it, we feel passionate about it. NICU family support specialists build relationships with families in the NICU and create a context for incredible comfort and support. But we as an organization need to engage the very same families after the NICU experience is over. But as we know, it isn't so straightforward as connecting with families in the NICU and then just reaching out to them after they go home. There are privacy issues, of course, with HIPAA, and it has made it essential that we go about contacting families in specific ways. The contact card that we all know so well and pictured here was the solution to this HIPAA challenge, and our new contact card is about to launch, and this is it. And now we've talked a long time about distributing contact cards and collecting completed ones, and it's always been important to us. But now that we've developed a whole process for how we contact, support, and engage families who have completed a contact card, now the contact card and family engagement process are more important than ever. And because of that, we have invited our Vice President of Signature Programs, Judy Gooding, to share why the contact card and family engagement are so important, what the challenges have been, and how we have rectified them. Judy?
Hello, everyone.
This is Judy, and I'm really glad to talk with you this afternoon about this. I was thrilled to see how many of you were interested in this topic and joined our call today. So, as I believe everyone knows, NICU Family Support was created over 10 years ago for the March of Dimes to provide information and comfort to families who have a baby in newborn intensive care. We returned to direct service in order to provide specific services and support to families who are affected by our mission. And it gives us the foundation an opportunity we cannot miss to engage the families that we are serving as constituents, as volunteers, and as donors after they leave the NICU. These contact cards are one of the tools we use to stay connected to families after they leave the NICU. We have other ways that our specialists can connect with families, but this particular tool is the most important way we have right now. And we've had a lot of challenges that many of you know about with these contact cards in the past, both in distributing those cards and in getting them back from families. And we've had those problems for many years and for many reasons. But the main reason has, for all of us, has been because we didn't really have specific resources that would support families after they went home. So you all, as specialists, many of you, felt you were in the position of handing out cards and looking for information from families, their contact information, so without something for you to give those families or to continue to give those families in return. Now that has changed, and it's changed in a very big way. We've heard your request for that kind of service, and we've responded to it with great new resources for NICU families once they leave the hospital, and you're going to hear more about those from Liza in a few minutes. This is really important because we haven't created these resources just to get families to connect with us so that they can be future volunteers and donors. We've created these resources so you, with the March of Dimes as a whole, can continue to serve your families when you're not serving them directly anymore. With these resources, though, comes a really clear expectation from the foundation as a whole, from the top down and from your chapters and the bottom up, that all, or the ground up, that all the specialists will work with their manager and their hospital contact person to really improve the program of contact card distribution, return, and data entry into CRM. As we're continuing to serve these families using that contact card information, we really want to use that as a stepping stone to then further engage them, as Liza described a little bit earlier. All of your sites are expected to refer to the best practice memo for contact card distribution and to put these practices in place if they're not currently being used. So we have a lot of really good ideas and best practices, and they are going to serve you well, but only if you refer to the memo and you really put them into place in your site. We're going to be at the national and at the regional office tracking contact card distribution and return really carefully. We need to monitor this and see what's really working and what's really not working so that we can improve as we go along. All of our NICU family support specialists are expected to continue to input your site's numbers for contact card distribution and for return in your monthly activity reports. And we're going to track those numbers of cards that go out to families, the numbers who return the contact card once the card is no longer suppressed in CRM. So you all know those contacts are suppressed for a short period in CRM, so that the first thing that they get is some engagement information, and again, and some service information and support, and Liza's going to be talking about that in a minute. But starting in July, the RDNs will receive information every month about when the contacts are no longer suppressed in CRM. So you'll be able to ask them for this information about your chapter anytime. You can ask your RDN, or you can run a query in CRM at any time and see where your contacts stand. So as you're writing your questions, if you've got questions about this, include them at the end of your at the end of the call, and Liza or I or Susan or one of the other speakers on the call will address your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judy. And just so everyone knows what happens once you receive and enter a contact card into CRM, as Judy mentioned, there's a 3-month do not solicit code that you make part of your entry process. And then on the 1st of every month, Sarah Rand, our database specialist here at National, sends out a letter to all of the families whose 3-month do not solicit code is about to expire. She sends out that letter, and that is from a Share Your Story mom, and it's really considered the first touch and the first level of engagement after the NICU. And as Judy mentioned, we are tracking every site's rates of contact card input so that you can be best supported to increase your collection rates over the coming months and years. So what comes after the letter? What do families who complete a NICU Family Support contact card receive? Each month they will receive an electronic newsletter as featured here. This is just a part of the newsletter. And it's really content rich, and it's focused on families and experts weighing in on the mission experience and valuable information for those touched by it. This newsletter actually goes out to about 300,000 registrants, or 300,000 members of the March of Dimes community. They are CRM constituents, and they have self-identified as mission affected. So it includes everyone that has completed a NICU Family Support contact card. It includes all of our Share Your Story registrants, and include others, including March for Babies family teams and others that have distinguished themselves that way. We have themes such as February was Valentine's Day. We have every month a column by a mission-affected family. We have NICU psychologists and NICU family support specialists sharing expertise about the family experience. We feature the Family Engagement Video Project, which I'll speak about in a little bit in a few slides. And then we have a column called the Dear Gigi column. And this is a mom who is a preemie parent coach, and she's wonderful. And questions are posed to her about how to deal with different types of experiences, mostly after the NICU, things that mission families might face. And she responds with just incredibly supportive, helpful advice. And just to give you an example, we invite others to submit their questions to Share Your Question at marchofdimes.com. And yesterday I received one from a grandmother who said that her grandchild had severe developmental delays and that she feels a lot of jealousy of other families, other grandparents who are talking about how well their kids are doing, how well their grandkids are. And she just didn't know how to cope with those feelings, and of course is hoping their grandchild is going to do better, but that it's really been a struggle for them. And so she posed a question to Gigi, which we will be featuring in an upcoming mission newsletter. So it's definitely engaging and reaching out to the mission-affected families who are reading it. So we all want families to receive these very relevant, personal, and meaningful mission newsletters. So how do we do this effectively? How do we ask parents to complete and return contact cards with the most success? And we've asked 2 NICU family support specialists who have been very successful at doing so to share their tricks and tips. And first we will invite Mary Beth Camp, who is a NICU family support specialist at Norden Suburban Hospital in Louisville, Kentucky. Mary Beth has been with the March of Dimes for 15 years, with the last 7 years as a NICU family support specialist. She supports a 40-bed NICU and has impressive contact card distribution and return on a daily basis in her unit by utilizing recommended practices. And she's also been successful with distribution and return during her annual NICU reunion. Mary Beth, can you share some of your tips and tricks?
Well, be glad to, but it's nothing magic. First of all, I just want to start out with the fact that several years ago when we started doing the contact cards, I got hardly any back. I mean, if I got back 5 a year, I was really pleased. And it was really discouraging for me because I thought I was getting them out there. I was putting them, in our binders. I was putting them in my parent care kits. I was leaving them in the waiting room. And I thought I was getting them out to the families and just wasn't getting any back at all, and just was really frustrated with the process. But the only way I was getting them out to families was a very passive way. And when the best practices memo came out a couple of years ago, I read over that and I thought, wow, those are some really great ideas. And I started practicing a lot of those things, and it just made a huge difference. I went from, getting like 5 back a year, like I said, to getting like 120 back a year. So it really made a difference, and it really wasn't a lot more work. It wasn't harder to do. But I always hand them out at like my parent hours, my scrapbooking classes, my dad's classes, special events that we do, our photo sessions. But in the classes, I always hand them out at the beginning of the class, and just give them to the families, and I tell them it's a way for the March of Dimes to stay in contact with them after their discharge. I tell them that there's resources and information that we have to share, which I think it's fabulous now that we do have those kind of things, the things that Judy talked about earlier. But I also tell them that they'll get information about different March of Dimes events and things that are going on. But by giving it to them at the beginning of the session, I think it's, gives them time to fill it out, gives them time to think about it. And it also doesn't put them on the spot. I'm not standing over them saying, you have to fill one of these out and give them back to me. It gives them a chance to, think about it, and it's their decision whether or not they fill it out. So I think everybody feels comfortable with that situation, and I don't always get all of them back. So I feel like the families are comfortable in making that decision on whether or not they want to do it. Did you want me to talk about the reunion now, too?
Sure, that would be great.
Okay. We have an annual reunion every year, and our reunion is open to all of our graduate families. We usually have a pretty good attendance of 300 to 400 people, and in that one day, I probably get about a third of my contact cards. So it really pays off. It's a great opportunity. And again, I'm giving the families the same message of, it allows us to keep in contact with them and give them resources and information. But I also add a little incentive to them to fill them out. One year I put together a big March of Dimes gift basket, with T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, all those kind of things. And if they filled one out, they got entered into the drawing for that. And another year I did a little giveaway. I did some little hand sanitizers. And if they filled one out, they got entered into a drawing for that. So, like I said, it's a huge payout for just one day to get that many cards back.
That's really great. And Mary Beth, who enters the information from the contact cards into CRM in your chapter? Okay, that's great.
I know that it can be time consuming, but I have it on my schedule every week. On Thursdays, I enter my contact cards for the week, and it just, I do it.
That's a good way to do it, and we know that you have really consistent high rates, so we thank you for those great tips. And Mary Beth talked about the best practices sheet that she read from, and we'll tell you where that can be located, certainly on the NICU Family Support Community page, but towards the end of this presentation, we'll share another place on Dimension. You can also find it. So thank you again, Mary Beth, for those great insights and ideas. Kristen Powell is a NICU Family Support Specialist at University of Arkansas Medical Center in Little Rock. She has been with the March of Dimes for 5.5 years as a NICU Family Support Specialist. Kristen and her chapter won a Leading Practice Award for co-branding the contact card with their NICU Family Support Hospital partner. She supports a 64-bed NICU unit while maintaining a very impressive contact card distribution and return rate. Kristen, can you share all of your great ideas and strategies?
Yes. First, I want to start out by admitting that prior to our co-branding of our contact cards, I was not a fan of contact cards. I felt uncomfortable with even asking people for that kind of information, but I was sitting in a meeting with some other people from a different nonprofit, from several different nonprofits, and a conversation came up that had nothing to do with getting their contact information. It just, somebody happened to say, once they leave the hospital, they come straight to us, and then we have them for years, and we don't mind having them help us fundraise. And I thought, that just kind of struck me, and that stuck in the back of my head. And then within a couple of months, a couple of weeks, I can't remember the exact timeline, I was at the hospital, and they were talking about how to engage families and recruit them for their family, the hospital's family advisory committee. And they were going to develop their own contact card and to distribute to families so they could get in touch with them. And that, first, it kind of panicked me because I thought, oh wait, that's going to confuse the families because we've got a contact card, they've got a contact card. And so that's kind of how our co-branding came about. But then I started thinking about, my mindset kind of changed about asking them for their information, because I started thinking about if the hospitals were recruiting them while they're in the hospital, and then after they leave the hospital to go to early intervention or to go to whatever services they may be obtaining, I started realizing, they were going to be with those companies for years, and they were going to be helping them for years. And so my thought was, when was the optimal time for us to recruit these families to engage with the March of Dimes? And it was kind of like one of those, well, duh, it's while they're sitting in our activities that we're hosting and that we're providing to those families. And so that really kind of was when I took a turn and I started actively, like she said earlier, I started actively passing out the contact cards and engaging families in contacting or in filling out the contact cards. Like I said, 2 years ago, we co-branded the hospital. This allowed us to share we co-branded the contact card with our hospital, and it allowed us to share contact information, but also we redesigned our own card to kind of explain what the contact card was for, a little more in depth, give them some options about what information they may want to receive. Did they want to volunteer? Did they want to be on any committees? Did they want to come back and help with NICU events or activities? So I think that gave families a little bit of ownership as to how they were going to engage and what was going to be, like how their information, their contact information was going to be used. Distributing the contact cards, I passed them out with all of the parent care kits, and I know that is a passive way to do it, but then I also go back and try to make contact with the families and kind of encourage them to fill those out. I also collect contact information at all of our parent activities and our education classes. Until recently, I had been doing all of this by myself, and the hospital's patient education representative and the patient education interns have recently started helping with our education efforts, and they are helping me collect the contact cards at those education events that they are doing as well. When I talk to families about filling out the contact cards, I try to explain that March of Dimes and the hospital have a partnership to provide support to families who have babies in the NICU. I explained that we don't go in, I don't even have access to their medical information, that we don't go into the system and just take their contact information. And really, this is the only way that we have to stay engaged with them after they leave the hospital. I explained to them about within a few months they'll receive the emails, and they'll receive information on nationwide events and local March of Dimes events, as well as our hospital events that we have coming up, since we do share our information with our hospital.
Thank you, Kristen. That was great. And I actually really appreciate the fact that you have colleagues in the NICU that are distributing contact cards alongside you. I think that really helps a lot, and it sort of just divvies up the workload and makes engagement just a natural part of the process. So thank you so much to both Kristen and Mary Beth for sharing your strategies and ideas. And so what else are we doing to engage families? And this is actually clipped from the March of Dimes national Facebook page. It is one of the posts on there. And this is the new family engagement video project, which launched in January and has been engaging families by asking them very specific questions about their experience. Their video responses are very captivating and incredibly helpful to other families, and even helpful to providers in advancing family-centered care. A different question and video response is posted to the National March of Dimes Facebook page every Monday, as seen here. And this is a clip, an actually incredibly beautiful video that we filmed at Share Union very easily with an iPad and an iPad mic to the question that is noted at the top about what could have been done differently in this mom's experience. And I just will note that the number of likes is 416, shares 25, and comments are 60. And these comments are incredible. So I encourage you to go onto the Facebook page and read what other parents said in response to the question. They have long, detailed responses that are really helpful to all of us in understanding the mission experience and its diversity. A question and video response is posted in each of the monthly newsletters and will now be posted on the new Share Your Story. And for example, we've asked mission families to weigh in on how they coped with feelings of guilt or coped as a couple or other things that are just really specific about their experience. You can also use the Family Engagement Video Project to engage families in your chapters by doing the following. Encourage the families you work with to join March of Dimes Facebook and comment on our weekly family engagement video question. Encourage families to create their own video responses to the monthly question asked in each newsletter and send their videos to shareyourvideo@marchofdimes.com. And if you have the technology at your disposal, again, we used a simple iPad with an iPad mic at Share Union to collect a large archive of video responses. Videotape your CNAC members or other volunteers creating 1 to 3 minute off-the-cuff responses to the questions and upload them to Facebook or Share Your Story or send them to shareyourvideo@marchofdimes.com with a signed photo video release for use. Like and share the videos yourself and share them on your chapter website and your hospital Facebook page. Some other ways that March of Dimes is engaging families nationally is the Pregnancy and Newborn Health Education Center sponsors Twitter preemie and loss chats in English and in Spanish. And they write a powerful weekly developmental disabilities blog on the News Moms Need feed every Wednesday. So those are some other resources to know about. But most importantly today, we want to introduce you to our all-new ShareYourStory.org community that launched just last week. An incredible resource of support, parent-to-parent connection, community, and engagement. It has been a tremendous effort of staff and volunteers coming together to create this new, beautiful, technologically cutting-edge space for mission families. And today, I want to welcome James Suhu, our Share Your Story community host, who has been an absolutely key leader in this new website process and development and has been hosting Share Your Story for many years. and 2 very active Share Your Story members and incredible volunteers, Tracy Hunter, there she is with her daughter, and Jackie Gerwin. And Tracy, I will just note, has posted over 20,000 times on Share Your Story, and that's the old version. And Jackie, who also is incredibly active, I think has nearly 5,000 posts, which is outstanding as well. And they've joined us today to share their perspectives and to give us a brief tour of Share Your Story. Each of them has been very important to the creation of the new website. So I just want to start by asking a couple of questions. Tracy, we'll begin with you. What first brought you to Share Your Story, and how did you find it?
I'm from a small town, so I was actually looking for fundraiser ideas that a lot of times people use for family teams. And a family team fundraiser in a lot of areas works very well for my entire town. So I was looking for fundraiser ideas and stumbled across Share Your Story because I thought, hey, they're sharing their stories about fundraisers. And just kind of really started lurking around and found out that a lot of these people had been through the same exact thing that I had, and I had something that might answer their questions. So I eventually logged on and been there ever since.
Thanks, Tracy. And what about you, Jackie? What brought you to Share Your Story, and how did you find it?
I found Share about 8.5 years ago when it was pretty much a brand new website. My daughter, who's 9.5 now, was just about to turn 1, and I was in a bit of panic about how to make her birthday cake because she was only 9 months adjusted, and I knew there were issues with giving, kids that young things with egg in it, and so I had some concerns, and I was Googling stuff about how to make an egg-free birthday cake and how to celebrate a preemie's first birthday. And I stumbled across Share. And like Tracy, I kind of lurked for a while and then got up the confidence to post and immediately got such warm responses. And people actually cared about my story. I didn't really get, as I say, addicted to it, which I did eventually, until I was pregnant with my son, and I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen in my pregnancy and all these things going on. And here was a group of people who understood and who got it and who didn't tell me, oh, everything will be fine. They said, oh, I've been through that. Here's what I did, or here's what my doctor said, or here's some advice. And it was so helpful to me. I had him full term and healthy and found that I enjoyed giving back through Share. And that's really what kept me there, was the ability to feel like people helped me, and now it was my turn to help them.
Wow. Well, I think you both have expressed how powerful this community is, so thank you. And I want to ask, since neither of you experienced the NICU Family Support Program when in the NICU, if you had, and I'll start with Tracy, how would you have wanted Share Your Story presented to you by a NICU Family Support Specialist?
I am a parent of twins, one survivor and one only lived for 15 hours. So my experience in the NICU was a lot to deal with. I was trying to deal with the loss of one child while I was worried out of my mind for the safety of the other. So I don't know that bringing a card to me and saying, hey, can you fill this out, was the right thing for me. We did receive a lot of correspondence simply taped to the side of her bed because nobody was bothering us that way. We could pick it up and we could fill it out if we felt comfortable and leave it back in the same place, or our nurse would take care of it. That gently presenting it in our situation was the better way because we were so overwhelmed with the loss of our daughter and how very, very sick Ansley was. So, yeah, offering us to fill it out right then and there was not the way to go for my family. However, for some families, that may work out a little better.
And Tracy, what about if the NICU Family Support Specialist was going to share with you about Share Your Story and just the website itself? How might they have done that in a way that would actually make you interested in checking it out?
Really, like I said, I'm sorry, I'm getting some feedback. I think that one of the better ways for me was just explaining, you know, the support specialist earlier mentioned that there were a lot of activities planned for the families. My hospital that the girls had to be transferred to was an hour and 45 minutes one way from my home. So for me to drive an hour and 45 minutes to participate with other families was out of the question. I was there to see my little girl, and that was it. And so I didn't get a chance to interact with other families a lot because that wasn't what I was there for. That was my time with my daughter each day. So in presenting Share Your Story, a good way to present that, especially to parents with a loss, is just you know, sharing that other families are there that have been through the same thing. That is my goal with being a part of Share Your Story now, is that I've been there. I know that all that is required is one breath at a time, because it all seems way too overwhelming at the time to deal with. And so being there and saying, hey, this is a way that you can log on in your own time. You don't have to drive an hour and 45 minutes to participate with other families now. That on your own time, when you feel comfortable, you can log on and talk to other families who have been there and done that. They know what it's like to have a survivor and a loss. They know what it's like to deal with birthdays where one child is celebrating when your heart is breaking because the other one is not there, and my girl's birthday is tomorrow. And so I'll be doing that, and I'll be on Share Your Story to encourage other families, and other families will be there to encourage me even 10 years later. But I'm doing that on my own time. I'm not doing that on hospital time. I'm not doing that on my NICU visit time. It's my own time, and I think that is a great way to promote Share Your Story, because that's when the parents are so overwhelmed and so tired that they're not focusing on anything but their kids, that doing it on their own time is a great way to present it.
Thank you. That's so helpful, Tracy. And what about you, Jackie? How might Share Your Story have been presented in a helpful way to you?
I think for me, presenting it in a way similar to what Tracy said, is that you're not in the NICU all the time. As much as you want to be, you have to go home, you have to sleep, you know, parts of your life have to keep moving. And there are times even when you're in the NICU, and we didn't have a NICU family support specialist, but we did have a wonderful social worker. But, you know, she wasn't around all the time. And so there were times where I could have used somebody to listen, and they weren't necessarily available to me then. So to me, to promote Share, you know, somebody needs to come up and say, hey, listen, we do our best to be here anytime you need us, but we know that's not possible, and we know there's times you need us when you're not at the hospital, or you just need to talk to somebody. And here's this great website supported by the March of Dimes, completely run by people who have been there, who have walked in your shoes, who have been in the NICU, who have lost a child, you know, from every aspect, who will be there to listen and hold your hand. And it may be 4 in the morning, and we've got people all over the country. So somebody may be up at 4 in the morning who can respond to you. If not, you'll get them shortly throughout the day, and you'll get answers from people who aren't going to judge. And I think for me, that would be the way to make it enticing. You know, and also knowing that once you get out of the NICU, you guys have been talking about collecting contact cards and things like that, and I do think that's great. I do kind of agree with Tracy that it has to be done delicately, because if somebody's standing over me saying, hey, I want you to fill this out, it's intimidating. Whereas if you do it at the events and things like that and explain, hey, once you leave the NICU, we still have ways we can help you, but we can't find you because of privacy laws unless we get your contact information. So we would love to do that. It's not signing you up for anything. you don't have to do anything. We want to provide things for you. And I think making sure they know that you're not looking for stuff from them, you're looking for stuff for them, I think is helpful. And letting them know that once they get out of the NICU, they may have questions that they didn't know they had while they were in the NICU. They may not even know the questions they want, but once they do, Share is there to help answer them.
Wow. Well, thank you both for those incredible perspectives, and I know people are very eager for you to lead them on a tour through the new Share Your Story. So please begin that process.
All right. While Jackie's getting that together, this is Tracy. Another thing that I found important about Share Your Story is that, when you ask questions in the NICU, you get the professional response from people who do this all day, every day. And at Share Your Story, you get a response from a mama or a daddy who don't do this every day and know we want the real answer. We want to know that this doesn't happen to everybody, and it's not fair for our kids to be born too soon. And so, that's another great thing about Share Your Story is we're moms and dads who just love our kids.
Great. Thank you.
So here we have the new Share Your Story site. It meshes so nicely with the current Mark of Dying site. And it's very family friendly. It's very, it's not too rough. It's very soft. We do still have a lot of the same things we did have on the other website, but we do have some bonus, bonus additions on this site. So one of the first things is this video here, and I highly encourage all of you to go there and watch it if you haven't. It's about why Share is important to all of us who have found it and why Share should be important to you guys and everybody in your NICU. So in general here, this is the home page. We've got the video there, and we can change it from time to time. We're able to highlight some of the stories that are big right now. The cafe is always I'll get to that in a little bit, but it's always an area just to, chat about random stuff. So here's a link to that. That's one of the big things for our current members. If you're having problems with the website, we have different things we can highlight. Over here we've got latest discussions. Those are the things that have most recently been active. Recent blog posts are right there. Here are recently active members. So all this stuff is kind of on the home page, which makes them very easy to get to. Oh, I'm sorry, did that just disappear for all of you too?
No, we can see it.
Okay, sorry. I couldn't get it to scroll bar. So anyway, so if we go into our blogs area here, we will find all our latest blogs. There's a couple different ways to look at it. Here is a way to look at it. My most recent blog. Here's one by our friend Amy, who has 3 little boys, adorable little boys, and someone with a loss. We can do it by view all or by category, which this is list by category is kind of a new thing for this Share. And it's neat because you can find those blogs that hit home for you. We've had people tell us before that if you have a loss, you don't want to go in and read the pregnancy blogs. You don't want to stumble across one that might hit those nerves. So this way you can go in and you can find the loss and grief blog, and you can go in there specifically and look for, these are blogs by parents that are discussing loss and grief. If you happen to be one of those people who's pregnant, you can come over here and you can find the pregnancy one and jump right over there and get all the pregnancy blogs. So it's a neat new way to sort it. So that you can find exactly what you're looking for. And again, we have more information about these are other
blogs that are posted right now and other links through the March of Dimes over here. If we go into the forums, this used to be our parent-to-parent section. It's been reformatted a little bit. It's generally in the same breakdown as the blog section. We have the community center where we have the cafe, which we talked about, you know, different discussions that people have posted. So we can go in one of these. Like if we go into, all right, here's one I posted the other day, day-to-day coping, summer vacation. This is something I posted because I would like to start discussions on what people do over the summer. You know, I'm not in a situation where I have a preemie, but other people are. It's, I guess, a medically delicate situation, but other people still are. And sometimes it's nice to know what works for other people. So, you know, I started a post like this, and it's gotten a few comments to it. You know, we've got nice little text editing that we didn't have before, so you can put in different colors and different fonts, and these are all the responses from people. And it's real easy to, you know, add an extra response and then hit reply. It's a very easy website to use. This is also in our profile. This is where you can find all the different members. You can search for them up here. Like if you want to find me, I'm Jackie G. There I am. It will bring up my profile. It brings up my short story. So if they find somebody that they're interested in reading more about, they can search for them in that box, or they can, if they're in a post from that person, they can just click on their name and it brings them over to their profile, where it has their story, and you can find different, you can find their blog. Okay, let's try that again. So here's my blog. It's called Sugar and Spice, and all my blog posts from everything transferred over from the old site. Lots of share union blogs. We'll talk about that too in a minute. The other really neat thing that we really like, we now have this gallery area where everybody can go in and post photos. You can post videos. You know, we've got the March for Babies videos. We've got pictures of one of our leadership committee. Stacy is currently pregnant, so she's been posting ultrasound pictures. And it's kind of a neat little way to brag about your kids, or, you know, things that are important to you. And it's not something, we could always post pictures before, but we couldn't randomly just put them on there how we wanted. So this is a nice addition. And so here's Stacy's pictures of her son Elam, and over here are other new photos from other members, or the latest one. Really what I think you guys will be interested in is the Get Local area. We are beefing this up as we're going around. I live in Michigan, so I joined the Michigan group, and it automatically brings me back to Michigan anytime I go here. And this is an area where once people join, they can go in and you can add posts in here about upcoming events, or, you know, how to connect with people in your area and different things like that. And I think this will be big for you guys to keep your community aware of what's going on. You know, you can talk about NICU reunions. You can, you know, if all your parents go there, they can start their own little discussion about, you know, things back and forth in your NICU. So I think that will be a great addition for you guys right now, because we're spread all over the country. We can kind of use your help too to beef up these areas. You know, you guys are, I know there's like 3 of us on Share from Michigan that I know of. I'm sure there are more, but that are active on there. So, you know, we can probably only do so much on there. We can support you guys once you're on there, but we need other people to help add some more posts and get some more talking about in there. And really, that's kind of the gist of the whole new Share. So hopefully, and it's still got the great support and the great background of volunteers who are there to help. And it is, everything is looked over. We remove anything that is offensive.
or, questionable, we look into it. So they can come here knowing that they're in a safe environment and that they are going to get helpful responses from people who really care.
Perfect. Thank you for that great overview, Jackie. That was wonderful. And just so folks know, there will be more in-depth overviews and explorations of Share Your Story in coming months. So just want to return to our slideshow, and I want to leave a few minutes at the end for questions, but we have a few more points to share. So I want to turn to James and just hear, what is Share Union?
Share Union is a two-day event. It historically follows the VLC, and it provides an opportunity for all of the members from around the country and to some extent around the world, because we had 4 countries represented last year from the U.S., Guatemala, Dominican Republic, and Canada. It's a great way for members to attend workshops that facilitate the healing process, things like grief workshops and panels about trying again, and also to learn about ways that they can engage with the March of Dimes and things like March for Babies, Prematurity Awareness Month, advocacy, and how to volunteer in their local NICU family support sites.
Perfect. Thanks, James. And this photo was taken at Share Union last year during the Remembrance Ceremony, which is very emotional. And this is 2 moms who know each other well and who were just having an emotional moment there. So how do you promote shareyourstory.org where you are? Certainly register and take a look around. We absolutely invite you to read the blogs, check out the galleries, look at all the things that Jackie introduced you to. Distribute your Share Your Story magnets, which you should have gotten in the past week, to families, and disseminate your Share Your Story flyers. And there will be a new flyer coming out shortly that matches the beautiful new website. We are also creating a badge, just like you might have used a March for Babies badge on your email. You can now have a Share Your Story badge. So certainly we encourage you to use that to just get the word out and talk it up. Talk it up in parent hours, introduce it when you're doing bedside support, or when you're working with moms on the antepartum unit who might be on bed rest or dealing with a high-risk pregnancy. And certainly identify potential super users, and by that we mean some volunteers in your community that can start populating and making the local areas on Share Your Story really interesting. So not only just a place where you share events that are happening in your community, but also just a whole group of families that are great volunteers that you know can make that a rich and interesting local community on the website. That's family engagement for sure. And then consider, James did a wonderful description of Share Union, consider it for the families you work with. Invite them to join Share Your Story and consider coming to Share Union, which will be in Washington, D.C. in September, adjacent to VLC. So think about that and think about who you might recommend for that experience. Oops. Sorry, little glitch here. So you might want to ask, sorry we lost the picture, we'll try to get that back up for you, but where do you get updates on family engagement, and where do you see and read all the monthly mission newsletters? Most of you probably are not sent them by email. And where do you suggest new ideas and authors for content? So go to the homepage on Dimension, and I apologize, we did have some images to show you. It's okay, we don't have the image it looks like, but go to the homepage of Dimension, and on the left screen navigation bar you'll see something that says Teams. There it is. Barb did it, yay! And click on Family Engagement Team. Sorry, everything's a little bit slow today. Click on the Family Engagement Team, and you'll see you can join that. And here you'll find it all. Sorry, computers are a little slow. Oops. So this is the Dimension community for family engagement, and it includes everything. The monthly Mission Family newsletters, past and present, family engagement videos, links to share your story, Twitter, Facebook, and folks sharing activities and best practices in family engagement. So our 3 take-home messages: collect contact cards like never before, promote Share Your Story because it will indeed be a haven for families, and explore and share all of the family engagement resources that March of Dimes has to offer. And just to echo Judy's earlier messages, NICU Family Support Specialists should work with their managers and hospitals to improve their program contact card distribution, return, and data entry into CRM. You can refer to the best practices memos for contact card distribution, which are now up on this website as well on Dimension. You can also, of course, always find them on the NICU Family Support Community page. So just want to open it up for questions. Thank you guys for your time. And Melissa, please start letting us know if there are questions from the audience.
Great, thanks, Liza. We do have a number of questions, and we have about 4 minutes. So we'll do our best to get through maybe the ones that are most pertinent to everybody, and we'll go from there. What about any, like the letter and newsletter, will that be available at any time in Spanish?
It's a great question. We definitely need more resources for Spanish-speaking families, and that's certainly on the docket around things to consider. Do you want to share Your Story and what we are?
And we are also working with the Nasser Sano team we have a placeholder for the old Share used to have Comparta su Historia, which is Share Your Story in Spanish. And we're working with the Nasser Sano team right now to hopefully have a very robust Spanish language community as well.
Thanks, James. And in terms of the newsletters, which was the original question, certainly it's on the list of things that we want to do. So I can't promise when that would happen, but it's certainly something we all see as very important. But the Twitter preemie and loss chats are done also in Spanish by Bev Robertson and her group, so that's really important to know.
And can you just remind us all how we how we sign up for the News Moms Need blog?
It's just on the March of Dimes homepage. I don't know that you can. I'll have to get back to you on how to subscribe.
But you can, as James was saying, you can search News Moms Need on marchofdimes.com, and it will come up and it will direct you to how to read and review that blog. And it's the Wednesday blog that talks about developmental disabilities and is quite great.
And it's also posted on Share every Wednesday as well.
And kind of looking forward to the future, since everyone's always on their cell phones, how user-friendly is Share Your Story on a smartphone?
It actually, in some ways, is better on smartphones than it is on Internet Explorer 9, which is the browser of choice by the March of Dimes. So yeah, it actually technically works better on my iPad right now than Internet Explorer. Hopefully, within the next year, it'll be seamless. But we just launched, so we're still working out some bugs.
And are there any plans for an app?
Not right this second, but hopefully sometime in the next year, we're working on some preemie-oriented app.
Yeah, I think certainly the Cinemama app is still, in the midst of its early months, and it's doing great. And there has been talk about adapting that somehow for a NICU audience, but no definite plans, certainly.
Okay, great. And just one final question, because I just think it's really a great way to think. There's a question about sharing the Mission Family newsletter with other hospitals to encourage their NICU families to join. How might we go about doing something like that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and this has come up And what I've put on the table with the eBiz and communications team is that we would like something for families to be able to sign up for the Mission Families newsletter. And that might be a ways away because it sounds easy, but it's a bit more complicated than one might think. But for now, if families fill out a contact card and that gets entered into CRM, even in a non-NICU family support hospital, that will suffice, and then they will become part of our system. Now, it's not a perfect system because the contact card obviously speaks about NICU family support, but certainly that would be the best way for us to do that currently. And we'll work on the sort of better versions of registering for the newsletter in the future.
Great. And just one final question, if we can sneak it in. I know the Share Your Story flyer is available to NICU Family Support sites. Is that available for other hospitals to distribute to their families?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. This is Susan Clifford. And we may actually be doing a mailing. We've got a list of level 3 NICUs from across the country, and we may, if budget allows, be able to send some sample flyers to those NICUs as well. But if we do go down that path, we'll be sure to let the field know before we send the flyers to them. But it's a great question, and it's a great thing for us to think about. Oh, yeah, and the Share Your Story flyers will still be free, even the new ones when they become available. Thanks.
That's great. Thank you so much. And that is a wonderful way to promote Share Your Story. It's certainly an easy way for parents to learn about it. So thank you guys again, and I want to say a special thank you to our Share Your Story volunteers, Tracy Hunter and Jackie Gerwin, and to James Suhu, and to our NICU Family Support Specialists, Mary Beth Camp and Kristen Powell, and all of those who helped make this webinar a great success today. Thank you for your attendance and participation, and this will be archived for later viewing. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Melissa.